Welcome back to The Blunt Side, the podcast where we talk about anything and everything without a filter. My name is Sydney. It's been a while since I've filmed for this podcast. Um, there's so much going on, and I wanted to talk today about my own toxic traits in relationships. I feel like so often, and don't get me wrong, there's going to be podcast episodes of me talking about what I've learned from relationships in terms of like what the person did and things like that. But like in this specific episode, I really want to talk about my own toxic traits and what I've learned and like my last relationship and how I self-sabotaged it. And it's been hard to come to terms with, and it's also hard to speak about this because it's embarrassing to admit that you fucked up. But I feel like again, this podcast is about being blunt, being real, being truthful. And that's something that I always want to do. And I also am somebody that believes in like speaking about your fuck ups because then they don't have power over you. I feel like you can't really be a good person unless you admit what you've done wrong. It's kind of like confessing your sins. Because if you go around preaching about things, but never like speaking about the things that you've had to learn or overcome or things that you just like for real just fucked up on, then nobody's going to want to listen to you. So I feel like I'm a believer in that. So I'm kind of going to be like talking about, I don't know, relationships, what I've been learning, what I've been realizing about myself and that I'm fucked up kind of. So yeah, please don't judge me. Um that's not what we're here for, okay? If you want to judge me, then you can keep scrolling to someone else's video because here we are just talking about it no matter what. We're talking about it because it's the truth. Like, I've always been someone that blames the person that I've been dating for the relationship going wrong. I always prided myself, is that a word? I always pride myself on being like the type of girl in a relationship that like puts her all in and loves so hard, and like I always end up attracting these guys that are like man babies and that I have to like teach how to like respect me. And so I've always viewed them as the problem. And I'm not saying that like they weren't the problem, but I'm also, now that I'm growing up, I am starting to see like the things that I'm doing that are toxic, and it's like, damn, maybe it is nuance. Maybe this shit isn't so black and white. Maybe like people aren't necessarily bad or evil. They just are learning and people fuck up. And I don't know, I'm like in my own fuck ups, I'm starting to feel empathy for my past people I've been with that have like really hurt me. I'm like, damn, you were just like a kid. And like I've always known that. Like I've always known like, okay, yeah, looking back they were just a kid, whatever. That doesn't change the fact that they broke my heart, but it's not like I think they're evil. I mean, some of them, I don't know. That can be debatable. But I'm basically just saying that I've grown to learn that people are humans and humans make mistakes and it's not so black and white to me anymore. So I recently got broken up with. Broken up with is a loose term because we were in a situationship for like over a year. Um but those were those are the ones that hit the hardest. I feel like because you have such strong emotions and the relationship was never defined, but to you it felt like, oh, but maybe one day it will be defined. And so those ones I feel like hit the hardest. Well, okay, let me start with this. I always knew they weren't right for me. And that's one of my toxic traits. I always date people that I know aren't right for me and that I shouldn't be with. And then my fear of being alone and my abandonment issues and my just like, oh, but they're giving me attention right now. I never I never deal with that in the moment, and I'm just like, "Oh, but I just want to keep texting them." And then the texting goes deeper and then we end up like being together and like um how do I say this? Like having sexual intercourse. And then once you're at that point, you're like, oh, we're basically dating. I'm not going to address these feelings that I have anymore because I like them and this is fine, blah, blah, blah. So, like, I know that that's my toxic trait. And I feel really guilty about that. That, like, I wasn't man enough or whatever. I didn't have the balls to, like, just I didn't have enough self-respect to just be like, "Oh, this isn't for me. I'm not going to waste someone's time and entertain it when I'm not really serious about it." But that's what I did. And so I knew this person wasn't right for me, and I think that was a huge part of the problem, is that because I never felt like they would be able to give me what I want, I didn't respect them. And I feel like when you don't respect someone deep down, you are going to do something to hurt them. And they also did lots of things in their relationship where I started to lose respect. It was the typical situationship where you're begging this avoidant guy to show you affection and to like compliment you and to spend time with you and to not be on his phone when you hang out. It was all those little things the whole time that made me like feel that again he wasn't right for me, and that I'm the one in the right, and that he needs to learn how to be a good partner and I'm doing everything right. But it got to the point where when you get so wrapped up in like all of these things that they've done wrong, and instead of leaving, you tolerate it but just keep telling them all the things they do wrong, you get to a point where you stop putting in effort of actually being a good partner because you don't think they deserve that part of you. Because you keep this scoreboard in the back of your mind of all these things that they didn't do. And so you always feel like, oh, I want to do all these loving things for them, but I don't think they really deserve that part of me until they do this, until they do that. And it's not like he didn't change those things, like he did, but they would always come back up again. And I would always feel neglected or like he didn't actually want me. And a lot of it was valid and a lot of it was my own insecurities. But at the end of the day, I should have just left. I should have just left when I felt disrespected the first time, because there's no sense of waiting for someone to learn how to treat you better if they're not treating you right. And yes, obviously that's nuanced because not your soulmate isn't automatically going to treat you perfectly. I don't think they're going to treat you wrong, but they're not going to exactly know what you need. So there's a difference in someone learning you and learning what you need and then learning how to treat you right. And I think that I give people the benefit of the doubt, like, oh, they just need to learn what I need. And it's like, no, it's not what you need. It's just basic, like, what you're supposed to do in a relationship, and they're not doing it. And if you don't like that, then you shouldn't be with them. And you shouldn't be a coward of breaking up with someone just because you don't want to be alone or you want to wait to see if they change. Like, no, you're being a coward. You don't have the balls to like say like you're disrespecting me and I don't like it. And so there were many things like that in the relationship where I felt like they needed to prove themselves more. And then in that, I started becoming the avoidant partner because I was holding on to all these things and I kept thinking, oh, well, they need to do all this stuff. I'm fine. And I didn't realize that I wasn't even being affectionate anymore. And then I also did things to disrespect them. And I'm going to say them out loud, even though it's so like it's cringy because it makes me feel guilty. Sorry guys, I'm trying not to cry because I don't want that to be the energy for this video. But I'm going to say them out loud because again, I need to for my own like growth, but just know that I'm cringing inside doing this. But basically like before we were defined, and at least that's the excuse that I used, right? I kept telling myself, oh, but we're just a situationship. Yet I always beg them for more. So it's like you want more from them, but you're not allowing it to become something more because you keep saying, oh, I can do this because we're not official. Like, does that make sense? And so I have this ex that I still have helped me with things sometimes. And this person would get upset. Like, I don't want you texting them unless it's something that you need help with. If it's other than that, if it's just like you guys catching up, you shouldn't be texting them. And I was texting them at the time. They got upset with me. We talked about it. I said, okay, you know what, you're right. I would be upset as well if you were texting your ex. So I will uphold that boundary. And I did uphold it until recently. They texted me something. They texted me something. Oh, actually, no, wait. I have more to expose myself on, and this is even worse than texting them. So get ready to fucking judge me. But like I said, don't. If you're gonna judge me, go away. before me and this person were even like, we've even talked about that we're going to be exclusive, even though we weren't, even when we were exclusive, we weren't dating technically. Before we said we were exclusive, my ex was still more in my life. There's reasons for that that I don't really want to explain because it has to do with other people in my life. But regardless, my ex was still in my life, and he was helping me with something one night, and then he ended up staying over. He ended up sleeping over because it was too late or something, and I'm like, I could have easily told him to go home. I didn't. He slept in my bed. We didn't touch each other, and I swear on my goddamn life, we didn't touch each other at all. No cuddles, nothing. But I let him sleep in my bed. Why? We're gonna pull that apart soon, but not right now. So I let him sleep in my bed. I told my person that I was seeing the next day because I felt guilty, and they obviously freaked the fuck out, said I don't want you texting him unless it's something you need help with, which even then, if I was, that's the thing, if I was in his shoes, bro, again, I'm trying not to cry. If I was in his shoes, I would have freaked the fuck out. Do you know how jealous I am? I would have freaked the fuck out. I would have been like, you are never, why are you even talking to them? They shouldn't be in your life at all. And it's these double standards, I think, that also drove him crazy. And I understand that. So, anyways, I upheld the boundary of not texting him unless it was something that I needed help with. And then recently, he texted me and he was saying something that someone else was saying about me. And for some reason, I wanted to know. I was like, oh, yeah, what did they say? And I screenshot it. I sent it to the person I'm seeing without even thinking he'd be mad. I'm just like, oh, it makes sense. Like, he's saying something that someone's saying about me. It makes sense that I would respond. But no, I'm crossing the boundary that I said I wouldn't cross. So he got mad at me. And that's one of the reasons he broke up with me, because I crossed the boundary. And to me, it was so justified. I'm like, but I wanted to know so bad. And he kept being like, why did you need to know so bad? Like, why do you care? And so through all of this, I realized, like, okay, I have a lot of things I need to grow from. I'm not a perfect person. I've always been somebody, I'm literally fighting tears through this whole fucking podcast episode. I'm not a perfect person. And I've always been the type to talk about cheaters. I've been cheated on multiple times. And I've literally done a podcast episode on cheating. And I've always been the type to be like, fuck cheaters, fuck cheaters. And now that I've technically cheated or been disrespectful, I don't know what category to put it in, because it's like I didn't kiss anyone, I didn't do anything, but it feels like I cheated. Does that make sense? Now that I'm on that side, I'm like, okay, I understand. I'm not saying I understand why they do it. I'm saying I understand now, like, I have issues. And the people in my past that did that to me, they had issues. And I always knew that. Like, in my past podcast that I did on this, I'll link it down below. I talked about the types of qualities that cheaters have. And honestly, making that video, I'm like, I have a lot of these qualities. So maybe it was always in me to to cross these boundaries, to be disrespectful. I don't know, but I always knew it was like it had to do with abandonment issues, needing attention, all this stuff, whatever. But now that I'm on like that side of it, I'm like, oh, okay, like I definitely have issues that I need to work through. And I'm trying not to demonize myself, because it can be so hard when you fuck up. When you fuck up enough that makes somebody not want to be in your life anymore, it can be really hard to not shame yourself to the point where you're like, I don't deserve, like, I've literally been fighting tears this whole podcast episode. I just don't want to cry. I don't have a problem with crying on camera. I've cried in front of you guys before. I don't want to cry right now. I just want to say what I need to say. It can make you feel like you don't deserve love. You don't deserve even friends because you're a shitty person, and you're just shitty to your core, and you don't deserve anything, and you're a bad person. And like, it can be really hard to fall down that pit. And yes, I do agree that like I did something bad, and I did something without a moral compass, and I did things that aren't aligned with who I've always thought I am. And so it's like, it's hard to come to terms with that, because it makes you question, is this who I am? Is this who I've always been, or have I just changed? And I can't tell right now. I can't tell, like, have I changed? Or have I always been this way? Has it always been inside me and it just got unlocked because of just certain things going on and I just, whatever it may be? I don't know. But I'm trying really hard not to fall into that because you can't grow. Like, shame is one of the darkest energies that you can have on yourself. If you have shame, it's like the opposite of like confidence and authenticity and being free. It's like a, I believe shame is like such a heavy energy and you need it sometimes to grow. You can use it for fuel. You can use it to become a better person. But you can't sit in it for very long. If you sit in it, you will begin to hate yourself and think that you are like you don't deserve things. And it's like that's not true. I do have empathy for myself in this, but I do acknowledge that like okay, you need to like get your shit together because like this isn't the type of person that you want to be and this isn't the type of like if you want to have a relationship, why are you acting like this? But again, it goes back to what I was saying in the beginning is I don't think I ever really liked this person. And that sounds harsh because I did have feelings and I cared about them deeply, but if I think about the fact that from the beginning I knew that they weren't right for me, then I don't think I ever truly liked them. Because if I truly liked them and I truly accepted them and I truly loved them and I truly wanted to be with them, these things wouldn't have happened. They wouldn't even be a question. And so that's something that I need to unpack within myself is because this is something I've always struggled with. I've always dated people that don't like me, but I've also always dated people that I don't think I've actually ever liked. Because every time I've been with a guy, I always, I always yearn for them, right? I always yearn for the relationship. And I'm like, oh my god, I want them so bad. And once I get them, I start feeling avoidant. Like I don't actually and I start finding little things about them and blah 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 blah. Like or I'm really just like, I don't like this person. There's certain things about them, blah blah blah. They're not right for me. And so then I start maybe I don't know, just being avoidant or maybe disrespecting them in little ways. And that's so unfair to do. It really is. It's so toxic. And I feel like a lot of guys treat girls like that. And I'm just realizing that I do the same thing. And it's like we all need to just stop using people as placeholders. We all need to stop wasting our each other's times and maybe you don't realize you're doing it. And I feel like a lot of the times I didn't cuz I really did like this person. Out of everybody I've dated cuz usually like I'm this is so crazy to admit, but a lot of the guys I've dated in the past, I don't even think I was really attracted to them. I just wanted like to somebody to be there and I thought we had a deep bond and then I didn't want to be alone. This person, I was actually very attracted to them, and there were just so many things that they did that other partners never did for me. They were caring in a lot of ways that like I've never had, but then in a lot of ways they did things where I'm like I don't want this in a relationship. But again, instead of having self-respect or balls or respect for them to tell them, I stayed. And when you're somebody that doesn't want to be alone, or maybe you just don't want to break their heart, you can think, oh, I'm doing them a favor because I don't want to break their heart, whatever. You're not doing them a favor. You're just prolonging the pain. And it is cowardly. It really is. It is the biggest cowardly thing you can do. And that's something else that I'm trying not to. I'm trying to be real with myself with all of this because I need to hear it. I need to hear it so that I don't do it to somebody else, so that I don't hurt somebody else because I know what it feels like to have my heart completely broken and I don't want to hurt somebody's. I know what it feels like to have my heart completely broken. And the fact that I broke somebody's heart is like there are a lot of things that they did at the end of the relationship that I was like this isn't right, and because they had so many feelings but I also had so many feelings and I wanted to say my feelings but they wanted to say theirs. I couldn't hear their feelings because I was so upset by the things they did and they were so upset by the things that I did. We couldn't hear each other's feelings. And so that was another thing. Like they felt disrespected that I wasn't listening to their feelings. But again, it was that, well, you don't deserve me listening because you did this, this, and this. And I think a lot of relationships become like that. It becomes like, you did this instead of, let me listen to what I did to hurt you. And if I really loved you and I really cared for you, I would want to listen. And I would want to put my stuff aside and just really hear your pain. But there's a flip side of that, of just wanting someone to feel your pain as well so deeply. And it's kind of like, who gets to feel whose pain first? Who gets to acknowledge whose pain first? Why do I have to listen to your pain first when mine feels so strong? Relationships are hard. You have to be so selfless to be in a relationship. Because if you truly love someone, you will want to feel their pain first, and you will want to listen to them first. And your stuff can wait to the side. And it's hard. It's hard when you feel like you've been wrong so many times. You think that they should do this for you. But that's just not how relationships work. They're an equal give and take, and it's just really hard. The beauty of all of this, though, is that we're in our 20s. And that doesn't excuse fucking up, but it also is beautiful because one day this won't matter, and it's all for growth. It's all for growth, and I appreciate the people that I've been with for the growth that they've given me, and I appreciate the relationships that I've had that have taught me that I've been toxic. And again, it's like, you can't hold on to the shame because it's all a learning experience. You just have to learn to not do that again to somebody else, and to not hate yourself for hurting somebody, and just hope that they have it in their heart to forgive you. This was a really fucking hard video to make. I think that's all I have for now. If I talk about any more, it's going to be too specific, and I don't want to dive into every detail. I just want to talk about some of that. And honestly, if I talk more, I'm going to fucking bawl my eyes out. Like, I had to stop so many times so that I didn't cry. But if you guys like this podcast, definitely subscribe down below. I also have a Halloween series going on right now called Freaky Fridays. It's where I post a spooky video every Friday leading up to Halloween, because Halloween is on a Friday this year. So I just thought it would be cool that I post one every week, and then the last one is on Halloween. If you like my vibe, make sure you subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!